Women have been conditioned by society to be, act, and think a certain way. Here at Girls IRL, we encourage women to challenge societal norms and embrace their femininity. With that being said, let's get into this week's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Girls in Real Life podcast. I am your host, Mariah Clayton. Happy Monday. I hope y'all had a great week last week and are gearing up for an even better week this week. It feels so good because I feel like I am finally back into a consistent routine. And y'all know I've been struggling with this. So it feels good to just stay up to date with you guys because y'all know for the past few weeks I was just out of whack. And now I feel like we are back in it, ready to rock and roll. So I'm feeling good today. We are in the second week of September, which is, I say this every single episode, but it is crazy, okay? But no, really, I just feel like all the fall vibes are officially starting to set in, even though I'm still hanging on to that last little bit of piece of summer. I am excited and ready for fall. You know, the holiday season is quickly approaching us, and this is pretty much everyone's favorite time of year. I've said on the podcast before, I am a hardcore summer girly. Summer is my favorite season. But as of last year, I've really been into fall as well. So I don't know. I'm excited for all of the fashion and the cooler weather and the fun little pumpkin cookies, sugar cookies that they have from Pillsbury at the store. I absolutely love those. Those are the best sugar cookies. The ones with the little, what's it called? Decorations on it. Not decorations. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. The ones with the little pumpkins on it and stuff. And even in Thanksgiving, they have the ones with the turkey, and then they have the Christmas tree ones. Those are the best cookies. So I've been seeing those in store, and I actually need to buy some because I haven't gotten any yet, but I definitely need to get some because those are legit my favorite. But yeah, football season is here. You know, that means for us girls who have boyfriends or husbands, we're watching nothing but football until the end of December. So LSU actually had their first football game this past Sunday, and by the time you guys hear this, they would have already had their first home game because I think they play Grambling on Saturday. But anyways, they had their first game of the season this past Sunday, and Justin was literally glued to the television, standing so close to the TV, yelling and screaming. Of course they lost, so he was even more mad, especially because he bet money, so he was double mad. So it's just a whole thing going on. He's wants to take me to the football game on Saturday, the home game that they're having against Grambling. And I'm just listen, I don't really care for LSU. You know, it's not that I don't care for LSU, okay? I bleed blue and gold, all right? I went to Southern University. I love my school. I love my HBCU. And I've just never really had a super personal connection with LSU. And it's not that I don't cheer for them whenever I watch them on TV or care about them. But I don't know. For me, I just feel like it's not a big deal. I don't know. If I want to go tailgate, I would want to go tailgate at my school with my people that I know. You know, I just feel like LSU is just so big and there's so many people and it's a little bit overwhelming, you know? And I feel like Southern is more just homey and more inviting. It's not as big. I don't know. We shall see though. He says either way, we're probably going to go to the tailgate even if we don't go to the game. So I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated on if that happens or not because with the way that Ace be acting, I don't know if he gonna make it out there for however many hours he wants to be out there tailgating. But yeah, besides that, I told y'all we went to Dallas this past weekend for a funeral. So we did do that. The funeral was absolutely beautiful and so nice. Obviously it was sad, and that was the first funeral that I had been to in a few years. I mean, I am honestly lucky enough to where I haven't had a lot of family deaths or deaths of people that are super close to me. So I haven't been to that many funerals in my lifetime, and most funerals that I've been to have been truly very sad and somber, but the funeral that we went to this past weekend, it was just very, I don't know, it was more so a celebration. Obviously it was sad and there was crying, but it was, you know, there was funny moments and it was people laughing and just having a good time and celebrating and coming together, and it was really beautiful to see. So Ace definitely made his presence known. He would not stay quiet during the ceremony, so I had to walk out with him a few times. Not that he was like crying or anything, he was just talking. Like he was just would not stop talking, like just making all of these cute little noises, and I'm just like, okay, you got to chill out for a second. But actually on the car ride, like he did so good. He pretty much slept for most of the car ride there and back. He slept for like the first half. He would wake up, I'd feed him a bottle, change his diaper, and then he would sleep for like another 45 minutes to an hour. And by that point, like we were already almost there or already back home. So he did pretty good in the car for the most part. I was very shocked, very proud of him. What else happened this past week? Oh, my parents' wedding anniversary was on the 5th. So they made 31 years of marriage, which I love that for them. My parents are totally in love with each other. Like they are obsessed with one another. They literally are like teenagers in love. They can't keep their hands off each other. Okay, that's why they got 7 kids. But no, really, like I know having parents who are together and who love each other and actively show their love to each other is kind of uncommon these days. So I'm very grateful that, you know, I have them as a relationship that I can look up to and respect and admire and aspire to be like. The way that they love each other, it's just so special, and I'm just so happy for them, you know, like they really have found their one true love, and you know, I just love that for them. Also, this month is my sister's birthday. She turns 30 on the 23rd. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to get her, what I want to do for her. I don't really know. I feel like 30 is such a big year and a big birthday. And like I want to do something special, but I just don't know what that is. So I have a few weeks left to kind of think of what I want to do or what I want to get her. I feel like now she's at the age where she doesn't really want material things, but she wants like experiences and to just like spend time with the people that she loves. So maybe I'll set us up like a little spa day or something. I don't know. I have to really think about it and buckle down and like make a decision. But that is actually a great segue into what we're going to be talking about in the podcast today. I don't really have any more life updates. We're just going to jump right in, and we are talking about indecisiveness. We're going to be discussing the power of choice, overcoming your inability to make decisions, how your indecisiveness is paralyzing you from actually making strides to whatever it is that you want to become or achieve. So it's going to be a lot today. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking to you guys about, I'm really addressing to myself. So when I say you, and I'm like saying you, and you think I'm talking to you, I'm really just talking to me. But I probably am talking to all of us, because I feel like we all kind of suffer from some form of indecisiveness at some point in our lives, where we're just like crippled with anxiety about what choice that we have to make, whether it's about our career, whether it's about our relationship, whether it's about something as simple as what we're going to eat for dinner tonight. And as an adult, you know, choosing what to eat for dinner every single night of your life is honestly one of the hardest choices that you have to make. So yeah, that's what today's topic is going to be about. So like I said, we're just going to dive right in. And really, I wanted to do this episode because I feel like I really don't even know how I came up with this. I was trying to think about, what do I want to talk about on the podcast? Like, I really don't know. And I couldn't make a decision. So I guess that kind of led me to talking about like, okay, let's talk about making decisions and indecisiveness and my inability to not do it. I am inherently an indecisive person. Like I am probably the most indecisive person that you will ever meet. I feel like I've shared this story on the podcast before, but my mom would tell me that when I was younger, she would take me to the store to pick out a piece of candy, me and my sisters, right? And I would be so overwhelmed with all of the choices. I didn't know if I wanted a Snickers, a Twix, Airheads, a lollipop. Like I didn't know what I wanted when I walked into the store. I was just overcome with too many choices. And so in the end, because I couldn't decide in a timely manner before we left the store, I would just leave with nothing. And then I would be sad and upset because it was like, why couldn't I just make a choice? Now I'm watching my sisters sitting over here eating and chewing on their candy, and I literally have nothing. And this has kind of been like a running thread throughout my life, my inability to make decisions, and how because I'm so overwhelmed with all the choices, or I'm so overwhelmed with the right versus the wrong choice, I end up not making a choice at all, or I end up just settling because I ran out of time to make a choice. So as I've gotten older, this is something that I've been trying to navigate, and I've been trying to just like make myself aware of it and act in a more, I don't want to say impulsive way, because impulsivity is unhealthy as well if you do it too much. But really, I just wanted to like be aware of like when I'm crippled with anxiety behind decisions that I need to make, and like kind of pinpoint, okay, why am I struggling so much to make this decision? You know, like why am I at this point in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, if I choose this or if I choose this, like it's going to be a super life-changing decision, when really when I look back at it, it's not that big of a deal as I made it out to be. And so lately, I feel like I've just kind of come to this realization that I don't believe that there is a right choice or a wrong choice. Obviously, I know that there is right versus wrong, and I'm not saying that like if somebody decides to murder someone that that's not a wrong choice. Like obviously, I'm not thinking that deep into it. I just really am trying to apply to my life, that I don't think that there are right or wrong choices, because if I think too much about that, then it causes me to just be paralyzed by my indecisiveness. And that's not good. That's not good for me. So I really just kind of want to discuss today why I feel like there are no right or wrong choices. Why we are indecisiveness, why we struggle or suffer from indecisiveness as humans, excuse me. And then also just kind of like how we can overcome that indecisiveness. So buckle up, girly. It's going to be a long ride today. And like I said, a lot of this is going to be addressed to myself. It may sound like I'm talking to you or attacking you, but I promise you I'm not. I'm really just doing it to myself. So y'all know I love starting episodes with definitions, and especially when I do like research on stuff, because I did do a lot of research on this topic and find some articles and take some excerpts from them and all of that stuff, right? So, of course, I'm going to give you guys the definition of indecisiveness, even though we all know what it is. And it's basically just the inability to make a decision. So, what is indecisiveness caused by? Like, what is the root of why it is so hard for us as humans to make decisions? The first reason is because we have fear of making the incorrect decision. We are so, like I said in the beginning, we are so crippled with anxiety around all of these choices that we have to make in our day-to-day lives, that because we fear making the wrong decision in the end, we are now stuck with this like indecisiveness, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I feel like a lot of humans struggle with the fear of making the incorrect decision when it comes to maybe their career, right? I feel like that's where a lot of people have this indecisiveness and this anxiety around, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? Like, I don't know, how am I supposed to decide at 18 years old what I want to do until I'm 60? And it's like, if you think that you're going to make the wrong decision and you're going to be unhappy with your job, and you're going to be unhappy with your pay, and you're going to be unhappy with your work schedule, and like, what if it's stopping you from doing this? You know, like we have all these thoughts that run through our mind that causes us to have fear about making an incorrect decision. So that's why you have people who are like, man, I graduated in this, but now I'm realizing that I don't want to do this anymore, and I need to go back to school to do this. And like, you know, like having all of these choices where it's like, okay, I can either quit my job, go back to school, get another degree and find a new job, or I can just stay in this job that I hate for the rest of my life because I don't want to feel like I wasted all my time in school studying what I did study. So now I'm just stuck here, right? Or what if I don't find another job that's going to pay me as much? What if I don't find another job that's going to accommodate me in the way that I need, right? Like, I don't know, whatever it is that you're telling yourself that you're going to have fear about, that you have these irrational thoughts about, it is causing you to either stay in a decision that you don't like anymore, or it's causing you to not make a decision to better your life in some way because you're scared. And you really don't have anything to be afraid of. The next thing that indecisiveness can be caused by is a need for time or more information. And this is more so going to like, maybe, I don't know, maybe your friend is asking you to go out for drinks after work or something, but you don't really know where y'all are going out to eat. You don't know what's on the menu at the restaurant. There's a lot of underlying factors that maybe you don't know, and like you need to press for more information. Or maybe you're getting off of work in 20 minutes and your friend just texted you, and now you're like, wait, I don't have enough time to make this decision. Like, I need to go home. I need to walk the dog. I need to water my plants. I need to make dinner. I need to do this. I need to do that. Like, I don't have enough time to make this decision right now. And so now you're stuck with this indecisiveness because, yeah, you might want to go out for drinks with your friend, but also at the same time, you don't have enough time to make that decision before you get off of work in order to make the best decision possible, if that makes sense. I'm really just coming up with all of these different scenarios and examples, but you get me. I know y'all get me. We're here together. So you might need more time or information in order to feel like you're going to make the best decision possible. Okay, next thing that indecisiveness can be caused by is a belief that others should make the decision for you. This is kind of where I feel like I struggle a lot because growing up, being the middle child, especially, like, you always have somebody there to make decisions for you, whether it's your parents, whether it's your older sister, like how my sister is. I feel like I don't make a decision without consulting my sister first. Like, I just can't. I'm literally like calling this is the situation. What do you think I should do? I don't know what to do. And I'm putting all that pressure now on someone else because I feel like I'm not capable enough to make this decision. I need somebody else to tell me what to do so I can then make the best decision. So, like, literally, I hate making decisions in my day-to-day life. It honestly just gives me so much anxiety. And the one thing that really annoys me that Justin does is I feel like he always puts dinner on me. Like, he's always like, what do you want for dinner? What do you want? And I'm like, what do you want? Like, why are you asking me what I want? Why do I have to be the deciding factor on what's for dinner? Because if I say something that you don't want to eat or that you don't like, then I'm going to feel bad because you're going to have to eat it. Like, I don't want to make the bad decision. Like, you make the decision and I'll just suffer. But he literally asks me every single day, so what's for dinner? What do you want for dinner? What do you want me to make for dinner? And I'm like, oh my God, you are stressing me out right now. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I just opened my eyes and you're asking me what I want for dinner. Like, I can't think about dinner right now. I need to eat breakfast. I need to get through lunch. Then maybe I can talk about dinner. Yeah, so that one is for me. The next thing that indecisiveness can be caused by is fear of failure or the consequence of the decision that you're going to make. So this could be, maybe you want to start a new entrepreneurial business and you've had this idea in your mind for a long time. You kind of have like the business plan of how you want it to go, but you are so scared to fail that you just decide, I'm just not going to do it. Like, I cannot deal with the fact that, like, if I start this, then it's just going to fail and I'm going to have to suffer the consequences, whether that be like I'm going to lose money, I'm going to have to deal with people talking about me, laughing at me because nobody showed up to whatever it was that I decided to start, right? So instead of making the decision to do something that you love to do or that you want to do, you are now crippled with this indecisiveness of, oh, I really don't want to do this because, yeah, if I fail, it's over. So now you're just stuck. You're paralyzed. You have nothing to do, nowhere to go. And then the last thing that indecisiveness can be caused by is obviously perfectionism. I say obviously, but it makes sense, right? Because if you are striving to be this perfect person at all times and like you want to make sure that you're making the absolute best decisions, that you're walking in the right direction, it can be hard because if you are, struggling with choosing one side over the other, like you don't know what's the better choice, then you end up not making a choice at all, right? Because you don't know what's going to be the most perfect choice, what's going to be the most best choice. So you just end up not choosing anything. So those are a few things that indecisiveness can be caused by, or a reason that you might be having some indecisive thoughts and feelings. And hopefully by the end of this episode, I am going to be able to give you kind of like a guideline of how to overcome this and really like be present in your life and not be afraid to make decisions and not be afraid to take risks. But moving on, there was this excerpt from an article that I found on the internet about 2 types of decision makers. So I'm just going to read this really quickly, and it says, decision makers can be classified in 2 extreme groups. One who decides on impulse and therefore may later repent or suffer because of their decisions, and the second who, due to their chronic indecisiveness, are paralyzed in making decisions. They suffer from extreme anxiety and frequently avoid making decisions by themselves. They may depend on others to make decisions for them or may avoid such situations altogether. So this is basically saying you have 2 types of decision makers. on the one hand, you have those impulsive people who just are spontaneous. They can make decisions at the drop of a dime. They don't really care about consequences or repercussions. They're just doing what they feel is best for them in that moment. Okay. And then on the whole other side of the spectrum, you have someone who is literally paralyzed by their indecisiveness because they can't seem to make a decision, because they are scared of the consequences. They are scared of failure. They are scared of not being perfect or making the wrong decision. So I think a healthy and balanced person obviously is going to be someone who's right there in the middle. You don't want to be so impulsive that you end up making just all these willy-nilly decisions just because, and like you don't really care about the consequences, but you also don't want to be the person that is stagnant in their life and paralyzed by their indecisiveness because they can't seem to make a decision. So you have to be able to find somewhere that happy medium in the middle to where you feel confident enough in your choices to make the best decision with the information that you have at the time. Because having a certain level of indecisiveness, like having this certain heightened inability to make decisions, is going to hold you back from making important choices in your life. And what I've come to realize as I've gotten older and just, observed life is that even not making a decision is a decision. So if you are stuck in your indecisive ways and you think that it's just a safer bet to not do anything, you're still deciding to not do anything. Even though you're not deciding between whatever two choices it is that you have, there's always a third choice. And the third choice is just to do nothing. And that is where a lot of people with indecisiveness sit. You're sitting in that nothingness. You're sitting in that stagnant place to where you're not growing and developing. You're not learning from your mistakes. You're just here. So trust me, like I know, I know how difficult and overwhelming it can be to make decisions. Like I said, I have been just an inherently indecisive person my entire life, from the candy in the candy store to trying to figure out what I wanted to major in to figuring out what my life plan is. There have been so many moments where I've literally just been crippled with my indecisiveness, and I've literally forced people to make decisions for me. An example, graduating high school, I never truly knew what I wanted to do. I was always so scared of the fact that, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do that's going to sustain me for my life and like make me money and get me a house and all of these things. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And the main reason for that was because I really did not understand what my purpose in life was. I didn't really have an idea of what it was that made me special, what it was that I was good at. When I was in high school, I had very low self-confidence, very low self-esteem. I had no idea, like what my strengths were. And so it was really difficult for me coming out of high school to figure out, what the heck do I want to major in college? Like, I have no idea. There's never been anything that's interested me enough to want to make the decision to do that thing. And so I remember talking to my mom, and eventually she was just like, you're a good listener, you're good with people, maybe you just need to major in psychology. And so that's literally what I did. Like, my mom made that decision for me. I did not come up with the thought on my own of like, let me think about what I'm good at. I'm good at listening to people. I'm good at talking. I'm good at this. I'm good at that. So I'm going to do this. No, I had no idea. So of course, like I said, kind of in the beginning, like I allowed my parents and people around me to kind of just make these decisions for me because they know what's best for me, right? Like they know me better probably than I know myself, and they know what I'm probably good at. So I just need to do what they're telling me to do because they're not going to lead me in the wrong direction, which is true. Obviously people who love you and care about you, they're not trying to lead you in the wrong direction. But the thing that I've learned is that they can only help guide you. They can't and they shouldn't make decisions for you. So of course I go to school, I major in psychology. I don't really love it, don't really hate it. I'm just kind of like dealing with it. Really good in my classes, like had a 3.9 GPA, graduated at the top of my class. Like it wasn't anything that was like super hard for me or that I couldn't handle. I passed, I made it through. But even when I graduated college, I still left feeling like, what now? What am I supposed to do now? I don't know. And so because I didn't know like what I wanted to do, what my next steps were going to be, I ended up just not making a decision about anything and ended up at home with post-grad depression because I had no plan for my life. I had no future. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I couldn't make a decision about, well, did I want to go to grad school? Did I want to move? Did I want to get a job? Like I had no idea. So of course, again, mommy to the rescue. You should go to graduate school. You should find you a good like counseling program and get into that and go to school. So what did I do? I found a counseling program for my master's. I applied, took the GRE, got in, not the GRE. Yeah, the GRE. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, you have to take that test in order to like get in. And so I did that. And again, I didn't really love my program, didn't really hate my program. I was just kind of there, you know? I just kind of said, this is what my parents told me I need to do, so I'm just gonna do it. I was so bad at making decisions for myself because didn't want to fail. I didn't want to let my parents down. I didn't want to, be this person who didn't have anything going for them. I just did the things that I thought that I needed to do because that's just what people told me. Even like competing in pageants, like that was not an inherent choice of mine. That was something my sister literally forced me to do. She saw something in me and she's like, you're going to be good at this. All right, I'm going to put you in your pageant. Let's go. I didn't decide to do that. My sister decided to do that for me. So I just feel like there are so many areas in my life where I just kind of let life happen to me instead of actually taking control of my life, if that makes sense. Because I never had a strong sense of self, because I was never super confident in myself, because I never spent time with myself and learned what I was good at and kind of like focused on those things, I let people make other decisions for me. And not saying that they were bad decisions, because like I said, I don't think there's any type of decision that can be good or bad. I think there are just decisions that you make and you just deal with the consequences of said decision, whether it's a good consequence or a bad consequence. For me, majoring in psychology and going to graduate school, am I using that degree right now? No. Am I probably using the things that I learned in my program? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I talk to people, I give out advice. Clearly, that's what I'm doing today. But as far as like a career or job field in that, no, I'm not doing that. So in hindsight, yeah, I could have the view of, oh my gosh, I wasted my time going to school and studying this. I should have been studying marketing, or I should have been studying business or PR, right? Like I could have been doing so many other things, but I didn't. So I could look back on those decisions and just kind of beat myself up for it, for making the quote unquote wrong choice. Or I could look at the bright side of it and be like, I learned so much about humans and the mind and how to talk to people and how to approach people and how to be an active listener, right? Like I can focus on the good of those decisions. Same thing with pageants. I didn't want to do pageants when my sister forced me to do it. I literally just was like, here, I'm your little Barbie. You're going to dress me up and however you like. We're going to do my makeup, do my hair, however you like. You're going to show me how to walk. And I'm just going to be a robot on stage. And it wasn't until I actively accepted the fact that I was competing in pageants and really took that decision full on and decide to immerse myself in it fully, that I start to see success come out of that, winning my first pageant, to competing for Miss Louisiana USA and placing top 15, the 2 times that I didn't win, to obviously winning at some point, like when you decide to just fully immerse yourself into the decision that you make, you can find so much success in that, whether you think it's a wrong choice or not. I feel like I am all over the place right now and don't even know how I got on that little tangent. But I think we're just going to move on. So now we're going to move on to the illusion of right versus wrong choice. Like I said, you can have that lens of, oh my gosh, if I make this decision, it's going to be such a bad choice. I don't know what a bad choice decision looks like for you, but whatever that looks like for you, you can have that lens of like, this is going to be a bad choice if I decide to do this. Or you could have the lens of whatever choice I decide to make is going to be a learning opportunity. It's going to be an opportunity for growth, regardless of what the outcome is. So I think the most important thing that we have to do when it comes to making a decision is we have to change our lens and how we're viewing it. Because the more you focus on the bad and the negative and all the things that can go wrong with the choice that you're going to make, it's going to cause you to always like take the safer route, take the safe bet. Let me just stay at this job. Let me just stay in this relationship. Let me just stay wherever I'm comfortable so that I don't have to deal with the repercussions or the hard part of a decision that I'm going to make. The thing about it is you're never going to make a perfect choice every single time. You're just not. There are so many decisions that we make in our everyday lives that there's no way that you can make the right choice every single time. It's literally impossible, right? But I think that we need to embrace that imperfectness of it and just understand that that is life. When we have the perception of right versus wrong choice, it puts so much unnecessary pressure on the decision and like the fear of making the decision. And it doesn't need to be there. Being so obsessed about, oh my gosh, I have to make the right choice. Like it just causes you to have this pressure, this anxiety, this stress that like you don't need. So I think if we change our lens and change our perception of how we view our choices, then we'll be able to make choices a little bit more easily and with more of like a sigh of relief, because it's not so much about the pressure of making the right choice. It's really so much you're thinking about, okay, these are the pros and cons of the choices that I'm going to make. This is how I could grow in either choice I decide to make. So I don't think I can make a bad choice. I just need to make a choice that is good for me in this moment. And I think that if we just kind of think about our life choices in that way, then it kind of takes away the pressure of that indecisiveness of having to make the best choice. Because going back to my earlier story about the candy in the candy store, all candy is good, okay? Okay, maybe not all candy. I don't do Almond Joys or Milky Ways or things like that, right? But obviously, you know what you don't like, okay? So when it comes to making a decision, you're really just down to choosing between best and best. Like what is good and what is good. It would have been good if I would have got Airheads. It would have been good if I would have got a lollipop. It would have been good if I would have got a Snickers. I like all of those candies. There was no way that I could have made a bad choice because I would have enjoyed whatever choice I ended up making either way. But because I couldn't figure out what was the best choice or, the thing that was going to make me just change my life, then I ended up not making any choice at all. So really, I don't want us to think of making a choice between right versus wrong, but making the choice between good versus best or good versus better. But even that kind of has some kind of anxiety to it. So maybe just good versus good, right? Because like I said, whatever choice of candy I decided to make, it was going to be good. It was going to taste good either way. I just didn't know what choice would have been better. So again, really just having to do a lot of self-reflection on my part and figure out like, why am I so obsessed with choosing the better choice? Like, why am I so obsessed with chasing this perfectionism? I think if we just kind of take the pressure off of right versus wrong and embrace the imperfection that comes with decision making and understand that we're not going to make the best choice every single time, then I don't know, it would just make us feel a lot more at peace with whatever it is that we do try to decide. Now let's talk about regret for a minute, because I feel like this is another reason why people are indecisive, because they don't want to regret a decision that they made, right? So because we're afraid of making the wrong choice and then regretting that decision, instead we decide to just not act at all, not make any decision, so that we don't have the opportunity to even feel regret. Just like decision making, regret is a part of life. Obviously, some people regret what they majored in college. Some people regret moving to a new state. Some people regret who they married. Some people regret, there are a lot of things that you have the opportunity to have regret for. But again, I think regret I think regret comes down to your perception. Again, I feel like the mind is such a powerful thing, and the more that you focus on the negatives, you forget about all the good because you're not focusing on it. You're focusing on all the bad. So when it comes to regret, you're feeling sad or you're feeling disappointed because of something that has happened, or because of like a missed opportunity. But the thing about regret is if you're so concerned with like your past mistakes and decisions that you didn't make and what could have been and what would have been and what should have been, then you're missing out on the joy of the present moment that you're living in right now. You're missing out on opportunities that could be coming your way and knocking at your door right now. But no, you want to be concerned over the things that didn't happen, that you can't even begin to see or focus on the things that could happen and the possibility of what you could do. Regret also has a lot to do with like blaming yourself for not making a better decision, blaming yourself for not making a decision at all, blaming yourself because you feel like you made the wrong decision, right? Like, I feel like regret often is just centered around choices and decisions that we make in our life. And if we don't choose the wrong thing, if we don't choose the right thing, then we have this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I regret that so much. So regret as a whole is just unavoidable. Like I said, you are going to experience regret at some point in your life, and it's just unavoidable. But obviously there are ways that you can cope with regret, and there are ways that you can kind of not focus on that. And what I've been saying is just like focusing on the positive and having a good mental space and like talking positively to yourself, forgiving yourself, stop blaming yourself for things that went wrong or things that could have gone better. You need to be able to have room to forgive yourself. So now that you know that regret is unavoidable, okay, it's going to happen, don't let the potential of making a wrong choice and feeling regret cause you to not make decisions. Because in the end, the only thing that you're hurting is yourself. You're trying to avoid something that is unavoidable. If you realize that you have the power to learn from your mistakes, learn from the choices that you've made, and start embracing like a growth mindset, then you're going to be putting yourself in a much better position instead of focusing on the regret and the failure and the consequences, right? Like flipping again that perspective and that lens to just be something in a positive light. Because as humans, it is so easy to just focus on the negative of things and to just focus on like the weight of these decisions that we have to make every single day. And it doesn't have to be that way. We choose for it to be that way, right? Like it's easy for it to be that way, but you had to actively train your mind to think positively about your life and about the decisions that you're making. So how can we overcome indecisiveness? Okay, I hope y'all knew I wasn't gonna leave y'all hanging with how to get out of this space that we are in. The first way, and probably the most obvious way, is to make a pros and cons list of the decisions that you're weighing. If it's for a career, whatever job that you're trying to decide, write out pros and cons. Who's paying more? Do I have to move? Do I get to stay here? Is there an opportunity for growth, or can I only stay in this one position for the next 10 years? Do I get to travel, or am I sitting at a desk all day, right? Like weighing out the pros and cons of whatever decision it is that you are faced with is going to help you make a better and sound decision. And also even just the process of writing it down and seeing it out on paper will 9 times out of 10 give you that realization that you need anyways, because you've taken the time to actually think about it. It wasn't just some impulsive decision that you made, and it wasn't something that you didn't even think about because you were scared of making the wrong decision. You were somewhere in the middle. You wrote out your pros and cons list, and you were able to actively decide and see, okay, this option is so much better for me at this moment in my life. And I think that's another thing that you have to take into consideration is where you are at specifically in your life at the time that you're making the decision. Because different phases of life are going to call for us to make different decisions based on where it is that we're at. So anyways, make a pros and cons list. Next tip for overcoming indecisiveness is to create a deadline, okay? If you are making a decision and you feel like I have all the time in the world to make this decision, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be making that decision until it is at the final end of the rope. Like if you're a procrastinator like me, you're just like, I don't have to make this decision right now. I don't even need to think about this. Like I'll just wait until the time comes. And then you're overcome with stress and anxiety because you've now run out of time to actually make the decision. So now you're just impulsively making the decision. Like, no, that's not what we need. So you need to create a deadline for yourself. Like you really just need to be like, this is the time that I'm going to take to think about this decision. Once this time is up, after I've made my pros and cons list and I've really thought about it, like I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to do it. Because it's going to make you hold yourself accountable, and it's going to make you actively think about something, even if you don't want to think about it, because you know that you have this timeline that you need to make a decision by. The next tip is to seek guidance or advice. Now, this is different than having somebody actually make decisions for you. Don't be like me. Don't be calling your mama and your sister to be like, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do right now, because that is different, okay? When you are seeking guidance and advice, you are actively talking out with someone the process of your decision making, and you're asking them to help guide you or give advice on how they think or what choice they might make. That's not saying that you're asking them to make the decision for you. You're just trying to get their point of view so that you can then make a better sound decision. Because honestly, when you are asking someone else to make a decision for you, you are putting that unnecessary pressure onto them and taking it off of you. So you're just literally redirecting the stress and the pressure and the anxiety to somebody else. And that's not fair to them. So instead of just straight up asking somebody what you think you should do, just let them give you advice and kind of guide you through the process. Talk out your thinking process with them and just see like, hey, what do you think about this? And you don't have to take what they say as truth or Bible, but it's something that you can keep in the back of your mind or in your back pocket and bring it into consideration when you're making your decision. Okay, the next strategy for overcoming indecisiveness is to work on your self-confidence. Like I said earlier in the episode, when I was younger and didn't have a real sense of self, I struggled with making decisions because I didn't know what would be best for me. I was so unconfident in my abilities to just live that like I needed other people to tell me what to do. But because I've become a more self-confident person, because I become more self-aware and I'm able to like self-reflect, now I feel much better in my decision-making skills because I know myself. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do, and I know what should be best for me. And now I am proud to make decisions for myself. I'm not scared. I'm not unconfident in my decisions. I stand on what I believe and what I think. And because of that, I now feel like I am a much better decision maker at 27 years old than I was at 17 and 18 years old. And honestly, that just comes with growing up and becoming an adult as well. But when you really do have that self-confidence and you know that like this is gonna be good for me, I know myself and I know that I can do this, then you're able to make those decisions easier and better. And the last tip I have for overcoming indecisiveness is to make the most of whatever decision you make. Again, as stated earlier in this episode, I feel like I've just been all over the place and talked about everything, but it is so easy to make a decision and instantly regret, instantly feel like you made the worst decision of your life, instantly feel bad for yourself. But instead of doing that, what you should do is just make the most of the decision that you decided. Stand on what you decided, right? Like be confident in that, what I just said. Because when you immerse yourself into whatever decision it is that you decided to make, whether it's career-wise, whether it's you wanted to break up with your boyfriend, whether it's you wanted to move out of your parents' house, whether it's you wanted to invest in a new business or something, right? We can easily focus on, oh my gosh, all of these things could go wrong. I might never find a job again. I might be single for the rest of my life. I might miss my family. I might go broke investing in this. It's easy to cower back in those moments of uncertainty. And what we need to do is just really sit in the decisions that we make and make the most of that decision. If you decide to switch careers or like quit your job, like make the most of that decision. Find a way to be successful in that decision. If you decide to leave your boyfriend and like move across the country, stand on that. Find a way to be successful in that decision. Make the most of it. Because honestly, the more that you regret decisions that you make and the more that you focus on the negative, the unhappier that you're going to be and the more regret that you're going to have, the more sadness and depression you're going to feel. And life doesn't have to be like that. If you decide to make a choice, make a decision based off of how you're feeling in that moment, you shouldn't feel regret about that. Because you made the best decision that you could at the time with the information that you had. So now that you have made the decision, The only thing that you can do now is make the most of it. Obviously, there's always going to be bumps in the road. There's always going to be consequences. There's always going to be something that comes up that makes you second guess your decision. But again, if you shift your perspective and just focus on the positive and just continue to keep going and making the most of your decision, then you're going to be successful either way. That's why I believe that there are no right or wrong choices. There are just choices that you make. And when you decide to make the most of whatever choice that you make, you're going to be successful regardless of what you decided. So to have a growth mindset, to have the thought process of, I'm going to have some personal development during this season in my life. I'm going to have a chance to learn from my mistakes, right? Like it all can be worked around for your good. So I want you guys to step out of that space of being indecisive and being stagnant and stuck in your indecisiveness, being paralyzed by your indecisiveness. And I'm really encouraging you guys to take action, to move forward, to stop overanalyzing everything and just make a decision. Just decide. You have the power to progress your life. You have the power to find that momentum. You just need to embrace that like decision making is a natural part of life and stop focusing so much on what could go wrong, what you could fail at, the consequences that could come from it, right? Like just really focus on how you can grow and develop in that new space that you decide to put yourself into. Every single day, you're going to be met with a choice, with a decision. It could be something as simple as what you're going to eat for dinner, or it could be something as huge as making a career change. It's life, and it's not going anywhere. So anyways, I hope this episode helps you guys kind of realize or think about choices that you made in your life or choices that you're going to make in your life. And I hope that you can now look on past choices that you've made without regret. And I hope that you can look forward to new choices that you're going to make with optimism. It has been a very long journey for me and my indecisiveness, and it's still something that I struggle with today, but not on a scale as what it used to be. And I'm so just like proud of myself for being able to be in a space where I can make decisions for myself. And I do understand that whatever decision I decide to make, I'm going to make the most of it because I have to. That's what I have to do in order to be happy and feel fulfilled in my life. I've made tons of choices in my past, and I'm going to continue to make thousands in my future. I don't think it really matters what you decide to do more so than the attitude that you decide to do it with. Every choice that you make in your life is an opportunity for you to grow in some way, shape, or form. So everything that happens in your life is going to come together and be used for good at some point. You might not understand it right now. You might not see it yet, but one day you're going to look back at every single choice that you made in your life and you're going to be like, wow, everything I did was for a reason, was for a purpose. It played a specific role in my life. And that is beautiful. And you're going to be grateful for that one day. So I really hope that this episode helped you guys to kind of change your perspective on decision making. And yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now because I feel like I've just been talking so much and I've been all over the place this whole entire episode, but I hope that I made some kind of sense. I hope you guys have a great Monday, a great rest of your week. I love y'all so much. Forgot to say that. And I'll talk to you in my next episode. Okay, bye.